Captain, it's time to make outrageous amounts of money in Star Citizen 318 doing prospector mining. Once you've saved up $2.2 million, you want to head over to New Deal in Hurston and buy the Prospector. And she's one of the best ships in the game to help you make money. Just make sure you have about $200K left over for upgrades and refining costs. Wow, that's a really big rock. I guess it's a good thing that I'm packing a surge module. Now that you have a Prospector, one of the very first things you're going to want to do is go out and buy some surge modules. You can buy those in 3 different locations. One of them's at Dumper's Depot at Port Olisar, Tammy & Sons in Lorville in the Hurston system, Pearl 1 at Green Glade Station on the refinery deck. Before you can really mine Quantanium, you want to make sure that you upgrade your Arbor Head laser to a Lancet MH1. Mining Quantanium in the Prospector with pretty much any other mining head is going to be a death sentence for you. The next thing that you're going to want to grab is known as a Stampede module. You can actually pick those up at the Arc L1 station, and I recommend that you make that your home bind point. Once you have all that sorted, we're ready to jump in the field and start making an outrageous amount of money in Star Citizen 318. There is no better place in the verse to mine Quantanium than on the moon of Lyra in the ArcCorp system. Let's drop in at Spal 21. Out of everything you've done so far, Captain, this is going to require the most skill. Press V to enter scan mode and then hit tab to send out a ping. Your scanner should be set to a 360-degree angle by default. Just spin around in a circle and look at every single one of these boxes that appear. So how can you find Quant super duper easy on Lyra? Well, it's quite simple. Each one of these single rocks is going to have an RS signature of 1700. On Lyra, what you're mostly looking for is a signature of 3400. Quant likes to spawn in pairs or in groups on Lyra, so it's very, very easy to find it. Occasionally, Genesis and Obsidian rocks will spawn close enough together to actually trigger the 3400, but it is very, very easy to tell because Quant spawns like right next to each other. That is most definitely Quant. Let's head over there and put a scan on it and see if it's even worth a crap. Basically, Captain, just because you find Quantanium doesn't mean it's always going to be really good Quantanium. You're going to find a whole bunch of these rocks that are like around 2%, and that is most definitely not worth your time. Occasionally you won't be able to scan these right away, so if you just pull out your Bulldog lasers and then shoot it, you will be able to scan it once you pull out your mining head. And that right there, due to being a big green area, is a crappy rock. Let's check the next one. With just the Lancet mining head, you can crack rocks up to about 5.5k mass without any Surge or Stampede modules, and that one's also a crappy rock due to the big green area. Whenever you're out there hunting Quantanium on Lyra, understand that Quantanium loves to spawn around mountains, not so much in the mountain ranges themselves. If you find yourself in a big, flat, desolate area, you're probably not going to find any Quantanium, so you better start looking for mountains. Captain, I highly recommend when you're out there in the field, just before you go Quantanium mining, grab yourself a box mission, because if you find a really, really good patch like this one right here, you're going to want to be able to mark it and come back. Ultimately, if you find a really good patch like this one and you didn't get yourself a box mission, you can just blow yourself up and respawn and use your marker as a way to come back here between each one of these loads. Oh yeah, there's like 4 or 5 loads of Quantanium here, and unfortunately I didn't grab a box mission. Of course I didn't. No guts, no glory. Let's hit Alt F1 to put a surge into this rock here. Now it's going to build up a whole bunch of heat, but unfortunately it's not really going to be enough. We're going to have to do a second surge. This time we're going to let off a surge, and then as soon as it lands, I'm going to hit Alt F2 in order to do a Stampede. Now this is going to cut right through the green area as fast as I can. I should have been a little bit closer. It's going to drop out. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die my way. See, that's exactly what happens when you forget to grab a box mission, but there's my marker right there, and the Quant's right next to it. Scarfed up all that Quant, and why, looky there. Found another big fat patch of Quantanium not far away from my marker. And why, looky there, not too far away from that last patch that I mooched up everything at, here's another patch of Quantanium. Cha-ching! Generally, I won't mine any rock that's under 25% Quantanium, no matter what mass it is, because it is worth being a little bit picky and just settling on things that are like 30 and 40%ers, because you're going to find quite a few of those here on Lyra. Prospector mining is basically exactly like rock mining, except for you're doing it while flying around all over the place. Pulling out your mining laser is exactly the same, as well as switching between extraction and mining mode. Wheeling up and wheeling down will increase or decrease the amount of power that you're putting into the rock. Now, Quantanium is extremely unstable, so you do not want to get this into the red. Now, a little teeny tiny bit of red like that is not too bad, but you definitely want to wheel down before that happens. This is the constant struggles of mining Quantanium. Either it's going to be too high up in the green bar and go into the reds, you're going to need to wheel down, and then it's going to try to drop out of the green, and you're going to have to wheel up. It's like a back and forth thing, and you have a tiny little green area to try to keep it in at all times. Now, the last thing you're going to want to do is crack one of these rocks angry, and that means it has a little bit of the red zone lit up when you detonate it. That can actually cause part of the pieces of this rock to explode, and they'll be gone forever. Captain, if you ever crack a rock angry, your very best bet is to get the heck on out of there as quick as you can. Just back up straight and it'll blow up, and hopefully you'll be out of the range and it won't, take part of the ship with you. As for this rock, it looks like it's just about to crack, and I always like to back off just a little bit. Like I said, that little bit of an explosion right there, if it was in the red area, could damage your ship. Quant, when it's broken down into even smaller slabs, is harder to crack. Now notice that it was only up to 11% and it shot way up into the red. That is actually not too good right there. Now I should take a moment to let that cool down before I finish to crack it, because looky there, this is going to crack angry. It's going to shoot these rocks all over the place, and it probably even lost a purple piece in the process. On a regular mouse wheel, doing this is actually relatively difficult sometimes, because when you barely wheel up, you're going to hit about 5 or 6%, and that's about the maximum Quant likes before it freaking blows up in your face. Well, at least we got this one cracked really good. Gonna right click to enter extraction mode. Now let's start scooping this stuff up. Generally I would scan these pieces first, but I already know these came from a 100% slab, so I'm just gonna scoop them all up, because I know they're all gonna be godly. If you ever crack a rock that has a dirty break, which means the yellow pieces are not 100% slabs, make sure that you actually scan everything, because the moment we start scooping Quan on board, the countdown clock of doom and destruction starts. You have 15 minutes from the moment you bring the Quan on board to get your ship stored, or it will self-destruct. This is why you always want to crack down all of the yellows into purples, because purples are the only things that can be scooped. Then take the time to scan all of those purples and hope to God that your scanning device doesn't suddenly develop a case of Alzheimer's disease, because that can happen. Your ultimate goal is to reduce the amount of time that you have this Quantanium on board, so the only way you can really do that is to know exactly what you are going to scoop before you start scooping it. These last bits are the pieces that actually blew up on that first slab that I cracked, so I already know they're 100% pieces. Now we have plenty of time to get back, although there is one that's kind of trying to hide in the ground. I got you. You can't hide from me, Quantanium. As soon as you get back to Arc L1, make sure you store your Prospector. Head over to the top level of the refinery deck and look for the 2 terminals. Setting up a work order is like super duper easy. Just hit the begin button, then go over there and select your Prospector, and then set up the work order. From there you'll want to pick the type of refining process you're going to use, and for the most part I like to use Ferron Exchange. It's a high yield and doesn't cost a whole heck of a lot to complete those orders. If you don't care about how long it takes, you can do the Dink solventation process, which generally takes about twice as long and costs about half as much. No matter what method you use, make sure you toggle over the element they actually do want to refine, because it will throw away everything else that is toggled to the red. Whenever you want to actually start your order, just hit the confirm button twice. Now your order is in the process. Once you have a bunch of work orders completed, you're going to need a transport ship, so head down to the ArcCorp system. Look for the Traveler kiosk, where you can actually rent a Constellation Andromeda, which will cost you just a little bit more than 70,000. Well worth it, because you can haul 3 full orders of Quantanium within this beast. Loading up your ship is super duper easy. Just head back to the refinery deck where you process all your orders with the Prospector, then select which ship you want to put it in, then hit collect. It is literally that easy. Realistically, you want to have a bunch of these orders stacked up. On our way down to Area 18 to make a whole boatload of space bucks. This should be over 1 million AUEC. When you land, make sure you store your ship to protect your load, then head over to the TDD in the center of town. So it took me about 2.5, maybe 3 hours tops to mine all this Quantanium right here. Doesn't count the refining time, but hey, that's 1.3 million right there. That is some really good money. Congratulations on your promotion to Rear Admiral, job well done. How about we go buy a really big ship to celebrate? Ever since 318 dropped, I've been breaking my neck to make money. I've made money, I've lost money, but at this moment I've made a lot more money than I've lost. Let's buy the C2. This is my favorite ship in the game for cargo hauling. I can't wait. Running massive amounts of cargo in Star Citizen 318 is the pinnacle of risk versus reward. Do you have what it takes, Rear Admiral?